Hi, Jules.
There.
How are you? Jules, it's so good to be with you. My gosh, this is okay. Here we are on my podcast. We are recording this episode after over a year of trying to plan this. My podcast is called You're Doing Great, Mom. And I love that you are launching basically just catapulting my rebirth of this podcast. And I think the last time I released an episode was in 2018.
Wow.
And yeah, so, and I started this podcast in 2016. And I just want to have this amazing conversation with you because you have so much to offer and so much to share, because I think the last 7 years, 6, 7 years, has been, and I know you're going to share with us, it's for you. I've watched you go through this incredible journey as a mother, as an entrepreneur, building. And, it's just been so wonderful to share that with you and to support you and to support each other. And I'm so honored to have you on my podcast.
Yay.
Yay, because I'm gonna relaunch it and I'm gonna do this. So Jules, we met in 2011.
Mhm.
And I want you to just tell everybody the story of how we met and who you are and your amazing coaching business that you've created that is so incredible and extraordinary, and how you are helping so many families and parents, because your company that you created is called Be the Change, which I love. I'm getting chills saying it. Because we really need people like you and women, powerful women like you, who are really causing and making a difference and being that change, So welcome, Julie Foubert from Be the Change.
Thank you so much, Mare, who I call Marianne. I am so honored to be here. I am so excited for the people listening to us who are going to be able to get so much value thanks to the work that you are doing. I'm so touched and grateful for this introduction. I am like a little flustered. I'm so honored because you are one of my dearest friends. You are a mentor to me. You are a pioneer in your field. And really, the name of your podcast, You're Doing Great, Mom, was such a beacon for me of light and guidance when I became a mother. And I will definitely do my best to be really transparent and have integrity about what that passageway was for me becoming a mom in 2018 for the first time. So to be on your podcast just feels like a dream come true. And, we were talking before we started recording about imposter syndrome and perfectionism. And if there's one thing I want every woman who listens to us to walk away with, it's you can do it, whatever it is you're trying to do, whether it's mothering, entrepreneurship, everything you mentioned. So I'm so happy to be here. Like you said, I have a French name, but I'm American originally, Julie Foubert. I am 35 years old at the time this is being recorded, my 35th year on this planet. I am newly
Oh my
married.
God, you were how old? So you were like, God, you were like really just to me a baby
Yeah,
when I met you.
I was 23 when we
Wow.
and was so fortunate to meet you thanks to Living School, where I was so fortunate to work as a teacher for 8 years. Um, a wonderful school that if you are listening to this and you are based in Paris, even if you're not based in Paris and you are Anglophone, Francophone, please look it up, livingschool.fr, founded by Caroline Sost, dear friend and mentor to me as well, and met when you were pregnant with your third child. And so I had these wonderful examples also before becoming a mother myself. So I'm 35, newly married, just was married last month to my partner. We've been together for 10 years, Alexandre, who's French. So we are a Franco-American family living in the south of France, where we are based right now. Um, of parents of two children, Rose and Noah, who are 5 and 3. So Noah was born at the end of 2020, end of the pandemic year. Lots to talk about there as well.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. And the counsel that you gave me there. And I would say that really the reason I founded our company, Be the Change, which is a company member of the Ethical Leadership Network, wider international network, really is inspired by empowering every family that wants to evolve and learn how to be more serene, beginning individually through their relationship as a couple, for those of them that are in a relationship, whether it's married or partnership, whatever that might look like, and through their parenting, because I truly believe parenting changes the world. It's future generations. It's so universal. It feels so intimate and it feels so personal. And at the same time, it's so universal. So I'm just honored to be here and to answer any questions I can at all, from a space of non-judgment, of love, and also, a lot of people are looking for peace right now. A lot of people are looking for energy, more energy, how to not feel so tired, especially mothers. And I think that when we come together and share our voices and we listen to each other's voices, like, that's the importance of this podcast that you've founded so many years ago. That it's very healing and reveals peace that then hopefully you listening to us, you can take with us into your evening, your day, your meeting, your morning, wherever you are listening to us here in your ears. Thank you for your time listening to us. And that's how you can start with peace. So I want to just say to people listening already, good for you for listening to something that's going to change your life and uplift you. Because if mothers are uplifted, everybody else gets uplifted. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of who I am in a
Yeah.
nutshell. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I've told you this before, but I think I must have told you when I had Sophia, I think it was probably, yeah, after I had all three. Um, I the I actually had a website called You're Doing Great Mom. And I put all of the episodes on there because I wanted to create a coaching program for moms, because I felt that there was a lack in support. I am very well aware that I am blessed that I had a network of very helpful just resources from being in my profession, and just really following my heart, and I've always been able to really find that for myself. And I think that what in my research I discovered that there really wasn't a lot of support, and and again, because of my profession being a chiropractor and also taking care of a lot of pregnant women and children, I had the knowledge just from education and postgraduate studies that I knew what to do. But I do know that if you don't have that background, or you don't have someone in your life to give you that guidance, it can be really, really tough for parents. I think just in general, no matter what. And it's just the biggest transformation and the biggest step in life, going from uh not being a parent to creating a family, creating your, partner, choosing your partner, creating a family, and that whole process, that whole journey. So you really just, I love, you did what I wanted to do. And the reason why I would never created that is because I just had too many eggs going on, and I was juggling too many things up in the air, and I really just needed to stay focused on building my chiropractic practice, which in and of itself provides a little bit of guidance and coaching anyway. And so what you're doing is so, when you just, it's not like I said, Jules, you need to be a life coach for parents. Like, I never said that to you. You just created it yourself, which is so, you're doing it. And I love that you are providing this for people. And you are also doing this because through your own journey, and I've seen you really, like, I remember when you first met Alex, I remember like being on the phone with you, and I remember just your whole journey from the first date. And then just how you discovered so much about yourself as a young woman and about love, and the choices that you made along the way, along that journey, and the courage. And it's just really, I love that I was able to observe that for you. And then, like, wow, your commitment and your integrity, and then going into motherhood and getting pregnant, and then you just were like, okay, you know what? I feel like I want to be a life coach. I mean, I don't really know the conversation we had, but it just really was like, she's doing it, and she is that beacon, and she is that guidance. And all of your training and all of your skills have just come to this point to provide that for people. And I love it. I love that you're doing this, because it's so aligned. And I think that, especially now, you and I think really see the similar people with similar needs, in that people are suffering, and there's a lot of anxiety that's going on, lots of anxiety. And there's just, when you go out there as a parent, there's a lot, as you know, there's a lot of judgment, there's a
Yes.
lot of doubt, there's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of, everything is fear based and fear run. Do this because something might happen, something bad might happen. And I know that what you're providing is something totally, just completely on a different platform, where when they talk to you and at the end of a session, they feel open, they feel energized, they feel like they're not made wrong, they feel validated, they're not judged. And I think we need that. Everybody needs that.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important to know that I learned so much of this from women like you and from the ethical leadership training that I'm specialized in, that really, I really see it. Anyone who's motivated can learn. And that is why our clients get the kind of results they get, because we are this potential that is natural and it's our scientific makeup. But through our academic pathways, including my own, I grew up in the United States and went to university in Chicago and was definitely um, sort of indoctrinated to doing. So I totally understand how when women and men go into parenthood, that doesn't work in parenting. The overachieving sort of gold star at the end of the day that a lot of us were, if not all of us who come into these spaces to evolve, really had as we were growing up, it's not the same skill set when we become parents and we need to drop into our beings. So I feel that it's something we can all learn. It's something I'm always learning about. That's why I'm really passionate about the supervision of my practice of ongoing professional development. It's something I've seen you do as well. So I would say, for kind of to answer the question of my entryway into motherhood and the things that empowered me, were absolutely getting resources and getting information. And I can't talk about that without talking about patriarchy, which I know is kind of, a big trigger word for a lot of people. I'm very open about talking about it in a spirit of non-judgment and very in a matter of fact way, not an angry way. I absolutely love my husband. I adore him. I love men. I think they are wonderful beings. We just need to recognize that they also suffer from patriarchy. And really, it just means the definition of patriarchy is that there is a male figurehead governing, making laws, legislation that trickles down into, what in French we call la cité, what's happening in a city, in a culture, in a society. That's all it means. So I like to demystify that because it comes up in parenting a lot. Who's doing what?
Oh, really? Yeah.
Absolutely. And when
Yeah.
I'm feeling like I'm carrying the mental load and I'm doing everything. And so I offer a different take on that, which is I had my own journey to go on when I became a mother to see how I had sort of introjected my own experience with growing up in a patriarchal culture into my partnership with my husband and with our children, where I was doing things before he would even ask me to do them. And then I was blaming him for not doing more when he was the one saying, please, honey, relax, slow down, calm down, which of course was triggering to me. I was like, I gotta calm down. I can't calm down right now. I have too much to do. You don't understand. So I always like to share that story that I've been through that way. And it was only when I remember when you had, I believe it was a Facebook group attached to your podcast, and you were putting content out and having especially spaces and circles where women could come to speak with each other. You were facilitating this space, holding space, which doesn't have a good French translation. I love it in English, holding space, because that's really what I have learned to do for a living. And that I do is I don't tell people what to do. It's never a question of do it this way, do it that way. I am there to hold space for you to feel your feelings, because that's really what you were for me. And in parallel, in complement with coachings and ethical leadership trainings that I invested in and that I was receiving from Living School. So, thanks to all of that training before becoming a mom, I was definitely, I feel fortunate to kind of have a heads up a little bit that it was going to be a, a big transition. I had always wanted to be a mom. It had been in my dreams since I was a little girl. I'm the oldest of four girls. So I do have a little bit of like the eldest child syndrome too that I work
Yeah.
on.
So share a little bit about like your, abridged version of your life story, meaning like what's really amazing is, you grew up in, where was it?
Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay. So like so I grew up in New Jersey, right? So I'm American, and, you don't meet a lot of Americans like you, especially from Nebraska.
It's true. It's true.
I've never been to Nebraska, but I think I've always been really fascinated by your story, because it's like, okay, you are from Nebraska, and I don't even know like what the hell is over there. Like it's like
well,
way out in the, back in the day, in like what, the 1700s, or when the freaking, I could just see the plains and the horses. Like, okay, this is like a big ass space. Like,
true.
let's just settle
That's
here. I
true.
mean, it's just Nebraska just to me seems, as a Northeasterner, from New York, basically, it's just like
No, I know.
Nebraska. Anyway, I just love it. It's to me, I feel as almost as foreign. Nebraska is almost as foreign to me as, any other country in the world, to be
No, I
honest with you.
totally understand. Well, a bridge version is I grew up in the middle of the US, Midwest, Omaha, Nebraska. My mother always used to say to her students, because she was an ESL teacher, if you close your eyes and you have a map of the US in front of you and you close your eyes and you point to it in the middle, that will be Omaha, Nebraska. And I love that image. That's really where I grew up, and definitely surrounded by cornfields, and at the same time very eclectic culture. Omaha used to be the biggest city in Nebraska, and I was so fortunate to have had parents who were all about changing the world for the better through service and through education. My father has a doctorate in philosophy and theology, and he taught at different universities across the US. For most of his life, he was in upper education, secondary education. And my mother was also a university English as a second language teacher. And I saw her doing that as I was growing up. And so I had this example before my parents divorced when I was 4 years old. I still have memories of both of them together striving to better the world through service. And then when they divorced and my father moved to Seattle and my mother was still living in Omaha, the way that they really did their absolute best to take care of us, my sister, and myself, because we're sort of two sets of two girls when my mother remarried, was definitely an example I carry through in how I coach and how I consult. And that love they each had for us, and it wasn't perfect. They made mistakes, but there was this undercurrent of we want the best for our children and we are going to move mountains to give them experiences that are life changing. So when I was only 7 years old, my mother got an opportunity to teach in Moscow, Russia for a semester through the university where she was a teacher. And this is fundamental to understanding sort of who I am, because we literally, in 4 suitcases and her two girls, she packed us up and we moved to Moscow for 6 months. So when a lot of people ask me, how do you have this energy to move your kids around so much? I mean, my mother showed me the way when I was really young, at just believing in herself and her projects and her potential. And, she fell in love there with my stepfather, who ended up coming back to the United States with us. When before she had met him, and she was a single mom raising two girls, she had boarders. We were a host family for some of the students that she was teaching. She had primarily Asian students. So she had